Hubbard, Razor Edge Productions. Here today with Andy Bryant. Going to get to learn some about Andy today. It's going to be a good one. Andy's a hell of a race car driver, young man, started doing it young, has had success at a young age, so we want to hear about that. And our title sponsor today for this episode is H3 Graphics, located in Fort Scott now. You can get at him on Facebook, or his phone number is 620-687-6200. He can do all your business logos, race car wraps. If you need your van wrapped for your flyer delivery and all that stuff, he can do that. And we also want to give a shout out to Lisa Burlington today. Lisa helped Shannon out with some pictures. She's good friends with Andy, been a supporter of Andy for a long time. So that's something special to us and to Andy, and we want to thank Lisa for that. So Andy started racing in a kart when he was 9. What got that started?
So I've always been around racing my entire life. My dad helped Randy Zimmerman since he was 13, and ever since I was born, I hung around Randy. There's a drawing in his shop. It's a little sketch outline that there's a picture floating around somewhere in the archives with Marnie, his wife, and I a little scribbling it in when I was like 4 or 5 years old at the time. And we hung around them, and there was just one day we were watching a NASCAR race, and it's like, is there any way I could start racing? And Dad happened to have a friend at the time, and his 3 boys were into racing, so we ended up renting a go-kart from them, racing with them for a while, ended up getting our own kart, started having success for their own equipment, and then ended up doing some traveling stuff with the go-karts. And then finally, about the time I was turning 12, Dad finally talked my mom into going full-size car racing, and just skipped the stock cars, went straight to the modifieds, and ever since then, that's what we've been doing.
You got right in a B-mod.
Yep.
So you started having some success kart racing. That take a couple of years?
I mean, it took us probably right out of a year. We started winning a little bit more consistently. I mean, we were winning on and off there throughout, but really about a year into it, we really started clicking them off. We ended up, I think, totaling 128 wins.
In the kart?
Yep. In the
Holy
karts.
cow, that's a lot of wins, buddy.
Oh yeah, there's some good stories. I mean, the outdoor racing is kind of more of a hope you put on the right set of tires, because you can dope the go-kart tires. It was fully legal to do that with those, but outdoor racing was kind of iffy for me. There wasn't a whole lot of racing. It was just making sure you kept your momentum up, had the right tires on. But I tell you what, I love that indoor racing. You actually have to use your brakes. There's methods to passing people. I mean, wasn't full on like shoving people into corners, but there was a finessing of pushing people into corners just enough to where you get under them on the exit. I really enjoyed doing that. There's actually they did a paying series for the go-karts, which is really rare in go-karts. Usually it was just, hey, you get a trophy if you win. There wasn't any payout. Emma Raceway up by Kansas City actually did a money series for one winner, and that series I happened to go 14 for 14 of those races in the Junior 1 division.
Won every race?
Yep.
Holy cow, that's a feat.
Oh yeah, I was on cloud 9 that year, but shortly after that we switched to a full-size car, and I got put in my place for humility.
Real quick. So when you got into the big car, then you're thinking, I got this.
I mean, I knew it would be something different. It was just when it was slick. Go-karts are just like driving in the slick for a full-size car. I mean, I was great in the features. I'd come from 14th, get to 5th. Something like that. I mean, I'd do better than I should have starting out on the slick stuff, but in hot laps and heat races, it was that tacky, and you actually had to get the car sideways. I struggled. I mean, it was borderline terrible for getting in the show. I mean, there were several times I'd start in front of the heat race, I'd be the back of it by the second lap, just because I wasn't used to it. But finally, my dad said, either go in there and drive like you mean it, or we're done racing. After that, didn't have an issue.
Well, it's way different on the slick and on tack. I mean, like for people that haven't driven, a lot of our viewers and stuff have, but it's way different. And how the car controls and how the car hooks up on the track, and I think driving when it's tacky is something that takes some time to learn. And also the slick, it takes even more time, but the go-kart adapted you well, it sounds like.
Oh yeah, the go-karts, that was probably what led to most of my success on the slick, was just driving a go-kart, because you kept the cart straight, make sure you hit your marks. That was pretty much 90% of your driving in go-karts, and that's 90% what you have to do in the slick on a full-size car. So yeah, I'd say it translated pretty well. It was just getting used to the size of the cars. I mean, go-karts, they're a little bit big. They're not huge by any means, but very big enough where you can kind of see where the edge of the tires are. Where these full-size cars, they're massive. You can got probably a foot or two to your left and right that you can't get anywhere close to anything, or you're touching with the car. So it was more of a size, getting used to the size of the car than anything. But other than that, I think the actual technique of driving was translated.
Carried over.
Yeah.
So there you hear it, guys looking to get their kids into it. Get them on a cart and get them in the indoor tracks where it's slick.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, that's what I always tell everybody that wants to start out. It's like, if you want to start from bare bones, go-kart's a pretty quick way of learning, because you can't get it down yet. You can do very well in go-karts.
And there's very rarely come feature time anywhere I've raced, and I don't know, this may be the same for you. Usually feature time, it's slick.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where you're at, what time of year it is, usually by then it's slick.
Yeah, I mean, unless you just have a massive rainstorm, it's usually always at least somewhat slick. It may not be 100% slick, but there's definitely not as much grip there as there was in heat race.
So it didn't take you too long to have some success in the B-Mod, but how long was it before you started having some luck?
Well, we started in 2012, and first year I think we ran just Humboldt. I think we went to 10 shows and didn't crack the top 5 a whole lot, if I did at all. 2013 we had a whole lot more success. We started on Humboldt and Nevada as well. Had a whole bunch of runner-ups, or maybe not runner-ups, but yeah, there was runner-ups that year. Actually, the last 5 weeks, I want to say, of the year, we cracked off first couple wins. First one was at Humboldt. Second one was at Nevada the following night. And then back to Humboldt, we won that night as well. And this was, I think, the last night at Humboldt. Then we ran the last 2 weekly shows at Lucas, and so I was 13 at the time, and the rule is at Lucas, you gotta be 14 before you're allowed to race. And there's some of the higher ups from Lucas that watched me run some hot laps at Nevada the week before. So they gave us the green light that we could run. They didn't think we were gonna be any very good, but they said, hey, you can run. I just made sure I could control the car. I wasn't going to make a fool out of myself or anything, but they let me run. The first night at Lucas, we got 5th, and the second week we went there, we actually won it. And I wasn't told, hey, I'm not supposed to be 13, I'm racing here. They asked me in the interview, hey, we've had a debate on how old you are. Are you 13 or 14? I flat out told them I was 13 still, and there's a funny backstory behind the person that greenlit that, but yeah, no, that's probably one of my more favorite races, was that race, just because I was younger than I was supposed to be racing there, and managed to pull a feature win there.
That's a big deal.
Oh yeah, that is.
That B-Mod class is tough.
Oh yes, I mean, Lucas is notorious for having the toughest competition in the Midwest. I mean, especially like even nowadays, you got a bunch of the national champs from the last 7 years have ran there, raced there weekly.
Right.
Even back then, I mean, it was probably worse back then, because there was 10, 12 guys that, heck, you didn't know which one was going to win. Pull it out of a hat, you'd probably be just as lucky as guessing.
Yeah, it sure seems like if you got a B-Mod and think you got the stuff, Wheatland's the place to go find out.
Oh yeah, it's a good speed check for you. I mean, it'll humble you really quick, because, I mean, no matter where you start in the heat race, there's usually 1 or 2 of the premier guys in it, and then you got all the, what we like to say the fire group is, you get somebody that can win weekly at a normal track, they come there, they'll be struggling to crack the top 5, because it's some pretty tough races there.
It's some of the, and we've said this a lot and talked about this a lot, it's some of the best racing in the country.
Hands down. I mean, and you got Chris, JC, myself, John Sheets, Mike Strugel when he decides to race, and I mean, there's
And the list
Ryan
goes
Gilmore.
on.
Yeah, there's a whole list of guys. I mean, one of us is going to hit the setup. It's just a matter of who's going to do it, who's going to get out front first.
Right.
Usually,
And that's still, and like I said it before, but I'll say it again, it's still, when you've got 15, 16 guys at a racetrack who could win it, and not just capable of winning it, but capable of checking pull out.
oh yeah. I mean, if you go back and look at the stats, especially in the B-Mon division, I mean, it's the same group of guys every year. It's just there'll be one oddball in it here, there. And it's tough. I mean, it is tough, especially in the B-Mon division. I mean, you see it whenever they have the nationals there. You get the guys coming from up north and from down south, from east and west. They all come here, and they're struggling the first couple of days. I mean, it's some stout competition.
Yeah, our guys still run in front.
Oh yeah.
Even when everybody's in town, it's some damn good racing. So, at some point you decide you're going to run for USRA points.
Decide? No, it just kind of happenstance happened. I mean, 2015 year, we were just started out doing our normal stuff. We had some success early. I mean, huge success early on. I mean, we were well ahead in the lead. Halfway through the season, we're finally like, okay, we need to focus on this and start running 4 points.
So you didn't start out running that way. You just ended up there.
I mean, back then everything was USRA around here. So I mean, you didn't have an option. You were running for USRA points whether you liked it or not. But
so you're just going racing.
yeah, I mean, we just had a whole lot of success early on, and realized, hey, we're well ahead of this. We got a really good shot to win this, so we started really hitting it. I mean, we ran 65 nights that year. I mean, we were just pounding the crap out of doing the shows, making sure we didn't have the car count. We'd start a little bit further back in the feature to make up for it. I mean, we were just doing everything we could to maximize the points.
So you got in the lead and stayed in the lead.
Yep.
And then, so at 15 years old, we've got our 2015 USRA B-Mod national champion.
Yep.
A 15-year-old kid, the youngest national champion to date.
Yep.
How did that feel? Well, I mean, you're so young, everything flying through your mind, and you're the national champ.
Yeah, it didn't hit me until like years later. It was like, okay, that actually happened. We tried it a few more times. It's like, okay, this is a little bit more difficult than the first time.
It made you appreciate it.
Yeah, it definitely made you appreciate it because there were a few years, I mean, we were second, third, and it was just like, this wasn't as easy as the first time.
Right.
So, yeah, it definitely got some appreciation. I mean, I appreciated it at the time, but there was more reverence for it, I'd say, later on once it was like, okay, that wasn't
near as easy as it ended up. And you hear that a lot about points battling. Guys say that, they didn't set out the points battle, but then, we had good luck, so then there we were.
I mean, it's like any other form of racing. I mean, a little bit of luck goes a long ways. Skill will get you only so far. I mean, you gotta have luck every now and then, and everything happened to fall place in that year.
Right. Well, so 2016, I mean, you tried hard enough that they gave you an Ironman award.
Yep, that was the traveling series that followed USMTS from around the country, and that was we had tried for it that year, and it was tough because you just go to every known track known to man with the USMTS crew, and it's hard, especially on tracks you've never been to before, because we were going up to Minnesota, Iowa, running several tracks we hadn't even heard of before, or at least I hadn't heard of at the time.
Right.
We were showing up, no nuts to go off of, and this was back in the 9-inch days, so you just have to hope you had the right gear in, and if you didn't, you're training it out as quick as you could after hot laps. So, no, it was definitely tough, and managed to pull that one off. And wasn't the youngest ever in that one, but still pretty good achievement for time. That was that brought Outpace on with us at the time, and that was a pretty good pickup for sponsorship. And
right, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. How many wins do you think you had that year?
I don't remember off the top of my head. I think we were at 23 or 25 that year, I believe.
So that's how many races did you run?
I think that year, we were 73 that year.
Oh, that's a lot of
Oh
racing.
yeah, we did.
That's a lot of racing.
We used to do a lot more racing than we do nowadays.
And all over the country chasing the USMTS trail.
Yep, we went all the way up to Deer Creek Speedway up north and all the way down to Salina High Banks, a few others down in there we went to. And it was just, there was a race we went to because you had to about go to every single one you could.
Right, to try to make the points.
Yep, you had to make, I think it was either 20 or 16 shows is all it took, but you had to go to everything around you and then go around some. So there's several week-long trips up north we took and a lot of traveling for that.
Long journeys. Rolling the car out and prepping it and rolling it back in the trailer to finish the trip to get somewhere.
Oh yeah, it gets hard on you, especially during that many nights. It just wears on you, and it burnt my dad and I out pretty good by the end of those years.
Pretty quick on traveling.
Oh yeah, you're just stuck with each other all week. You can't do anything but work on the car. It wears on you.
Right. What do you think is some of your favorite tracks of all the places you've been?
That's a difficult question.
Maybe not necessarily favorite, but say, what's the ones out in the world that you want to get back to?
If I had to pick anywhere, like if it's a perfect track, flawless, no holes, Lakeside's my favorite. Especially whenever you can get it 2-lane, because you're running so close to the wall on the top, and you're skimming the tires on the bottom, and there's a lot of momentum to it. There's a lot of making sure you hit your marks, as if you don't, you have to check up. You're waiting another lap to get your speed back, because you got to carry so much gear there.
It's such a big place.
Yeah, and you don't have enough power in the car to really just instantly get that speed back, so it takes a while. If you make a mistake, you're going to be paying for it for a while.
So it's funny you mentioned Lakeside, because I was at Lakeside, sitting off of turn 4, and this was in 2020. And I'll tell my view, and then I want to know what you got to say about it. So Andy's leading the race, gonna take it. It was the moon was right. He hit the nail on the head. Setup was there. It was his race to win. And you come out of turn 4, and the right front's flopping. And of course, you wouldn't know that. You're full tilt, thinking the car's going to collect itself and head straight. And you pile in the wall, and cars hit you, and your car is busted in half. Back half of your car is out there. You're upside down in the car. Everybody in the stands is freaking out. And you're standing here today. And that stressed me out so bad. I was at Butler when you got in the car, and I think it was a week later.
2 weeks.
Was it 2 weeks? Okay. And I could feel it in the air that it was like, it was tense feeling. Did it feel that way for you?
Getting back in the car, no, it wasn't really tense. It was just, I was just glad I was able to be back in the car, because, and before we get too far into this, I give the credit all for Bryant. They built one hell of a race car. I think the only thing that really even got damaged on the car was some right side bars, rear end snapping off, which it was supposed to. There's a lot of people on Facebook that night that was like, oh, that shouldn't happen. It's like, no, that's how the car is designed to work, split off.
Yes, the car is designed to break away. It's designed to take the blow, just like it did.
But, no, I've always wanted Honda's advice my whole life, at least in full-size cars, and I probably wouldn't be here today, but that was a stressful time for me, because just the way that went, couldn't have went any better.
Yeah, it was, so you didn't get knocked out?
Nope, I was fully conscious the whole time, and actually, the safety harnesses had me in there upside down, just everything being on the lash was Seat belts, I was struggling to get it to come off because all the weight being on it makes those things bind up real hard. So I was finally able to manage to break that loose. Hit my shins on the dash bar, started crawling out. And about that time, the safety crew gets over and try to go to stand up. They shove me back down on the ground, and I'm looking at my fuel cell in the back of the rear end, and I'm like, this ain't good. And I'm looking at the back half of the car while coming out the front half of it, and it just makes you realize how bad of a wreck it was. But no, that's my least favorite wreck by far, but also kind of hurt that it was my favorite car as well, because that car was about perfect for everything it did.
You won a lot of races in that car.
Yep, she was probably, at least in my opinion, the most revered car I've driven, because, I mean, that thing was, you could do whatever you wanted to it, didn't care.
It was on point.
It was on point, quick.
Everywhere you went.
Long as the monkey behind the wheel didn't make a stupid mistake, it was almost flawless. I mean, I don't think there were very many races that thing wasn't in the top 3 or winning.
Right.
Yeah, it was just a hell of a car, and I wish I could have that one back.
Well, I think you wore it out.
Yeah, she was pretty well worn out. Splitting her in two tends to do that.
Put a little bit of hurting on it. Yep. I'm glad you're okay, man. I didn't. That's something I wanted to talk to you about in this interview. You know, was about that wreck, and you know, that's the reason I wanted to talk to you about it, is because that's the worst wreck I've ever witnessed on a dirt track in person.
There's been many people that have brought that up to my attention, and I feel bad for my mother, because she got to see the wreck through the live stream, and then the live stream came out, so she didn't know what happened. She didn't know if I was okay or not.
Not knowing, man, that'd be tough. That'd be tough. But, so, with switching cars, this year, you're going to get in one of Jackson's J2 modifieds.
Yep.
So, what, you guys can't see it, but it's not sitting here.
No.
I was hoping it would be, you know, so I could get a sneak peek, but what's this going to be like? Is this exciting?
I mean, I look forward to the opportunity it brings. I mean, they built one hell of a program, and I hope we can add on to our program with joining our forces together and making one hell of a car.
Them cars are running up front. I mean, it just about doesn't matter which guy you pick that's running one. Wherever they're going with it, they're running out front.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's proven it. I mean, they got one hell of a car. I mean, they got a good group of drivers, and just that they wanted to bring us into the fold.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm excited for you.
We are too.
So 2017, 18-ish, B-Mod's getting a little tougher. You ain't racing for points, staying closer to home. Kind of how that went.
Yeah, I mean, we did race for some points. In 2017, we won the Lucas Track Championship. 2018, we Bryant Racing Products, which doesn't exist anymore, but they had put on a series between Lakeside and I-35 that we ran it in 2018, won it. And we were still running, we just weren't traveling as much as we were. I mean, we're still pulling 60 plus nights a year, but we just weren't traveling the extreme distances we were the years before. And it was just kind of more getting back to what we enjoyed. Not necessarily making a strength between Dad and I, because the years we were working for nationals, we were just getting at each other's throats because it was just wearing on us.
Right. And that creates problems, because you and Dad do this all together. Elbow to elbow.
Yep, it's definitely he and I deal. I mean, he's been there since day one, taught me everything I know, been my number one fan, been my number one critic, pushing me to do better every day, every week, raised me to be who I am. Can't thank him. I mean, I could spend here talking days and days about all he's done for me, and that wouldn't be enough.
Right. It's a big deal. Our dads tend to step in and they help us a lot. And Andy's dad isn't a second generation racer.
Nope.
He was, Mike was a young kid helping Randy Zimmerman.
Yep.
And that's what got these guys around racing. And I mean, Mike helped Randy, from the time, I think a while ago, he said he was 14 when he started helping him.
Yep, he and Billy were 13 and 14, and he did it well until I was born, and he and I were out in Randy's shop a good portion of the time we wanted to be.
So racing was just a thing. It was just, that makes it feel like for you, you know, it was a matter of time before it all fell into place.
Yeah, I've loved racing since I was born. I mean, when I asked if there was any way I could be racing, we were watching a NASCAR race.
Right.
As unpopular it is nowadays, it was still pretty popular back then, and we enjoyed watching it.
Oh yeah, still try to catch the races. We can't not, right? Speaking of catching the races, did you watch East Bay last night?
Yep.
I did too. That's a sad deal.
Yeah.
That last East Bay Raceway in Florida, East Bay Raceway Park. They had their last race last night, Lucas Oil late model race. Dalton Wilson won.
Yep, pretty emotional win for him. I think that was the first Lucas Oil race he had won.
Yeah, and to win there at that track. That's a crazy track. I heard him talking on there about how when the tide's in, you don't have to water the track. And it'll go from slick, and then the tide will come in. And that'd be wild. How do you prep for that?
Well, I think it's just a matter of how you approach it, because one of the things we learned with going with USMTS guys, I mean, you go up into Iowa, you get that sandier dirt. You go into Missouri, you get that red clay. Here in Kansas, you get that black dirt.
It's different.
I mean, you just got to learn what each dirt can handle, what each dirt does. I mean, we go up to, Mississippi Thunder. They were having a big race there every year for B-Mods there for a while, and we'd go up for it. And it wasn't anything for them to pull out an old Terragator, run a lap on it. If the track got too slick, pack it in for 3 laps and run it. In the heat races, they do that, and they do that around here. You'd be like, how crazy are you? This is going to be a slop fest the rest of the night.
But that's just a different dirt.
Yeah, I mean, it's that sandier stuff they're just able to get away with.
Track
got to one lane, they do it again.
I don't envy these track guys, man, because you can't even. They almost can't rely on each other because every place is different. Even our local tracks, you go a county away, and how you got to treat it's totally different.
Yeah, I think it's definitely knowing what each dirt can handle. I mean, a lot of people that's been at different places can probably attest to this, but go from black dirt, that stuff's tacky as can be whenever it's wet, but as soon as it slicks off, you're on glass. Then you got red clay where it's got some traction to it, but never quite as much, and then when it slicks off, it's still got more traction than you'd think. You're like, heck, how am I still able to get on throttle pedal? This is insane.
Right, and it still works somehow.
Yep.
It still works somehow. Other than Dad, who's inspired you through the years? Who's them guys that pushed on you to be our 2015 national champion?
I started out with Randy Zimmerman. I mean, he's who had been around forever and who I always looked up to. When first race I got to race against him, I actually got to beat him, so that was fun. But I always looked up to him because he's what I always viewed as an ideal driver. I mean, he was clean. He did never got into anybody. He just always liked going to the races with him. It always felt like a fun time. My mom, she's pushed me and my sister, as well as my dad. They both raised us to be very competitive in what we do and push us to be better and better every day. Those were the big ones that just pushed me to be where I am today. And we've had some outside help. We had Matt Biggin for a while, Dave Hill, he used to help us quite a bit. And there's a litany of guys that have just come through and helped us from time to time.
Guys that have made an impact on you, though. And that's a big thing. I noticed with everybody I talk to, who they've been around, who's helped. You hear a lot of the same names, that ensure people have what they need, or they're willing to lend a hand to help them have what they need.
Yeah. I think any group of racers, any guys that race against each other is at their core going to help each other when it comes down to it. There's been times people have broken parts and come to us to, hey, can we borrow a part? And it's like, yeah, no problem, we can help you.
Right.
I think it's just the racing community. We all help each other out, but once we hit that track, it's game on. We ain't friends anymore.
Well, yeah, once the helmet's on, I'm trying to get by you.
Yeah.
That's I think that's the mantra of it too. But you're dead right. It seems like with racing, everybody's out there to help everybody when it comes down to it.
I mean, when it comes down to it, we're a community. I mean, we gotta rely on each other. We all have the same goal of putting on a good show for the fans. Whether we all want to win, but there's only one winner at the end of the day. It's just show up, try to win. If you can't, get your car better for next week.
Right. I mean, that's what. It's, if I'm unloading the car off the trailer, I'm here to try to win.
Yeah.
Not here to try to run second.
Nope. We don't have fun running second.
Right.
You can show up racing to have fun, but you show up to have fun winning, not running second.
Yeah, that's my idea. Having fun is winning. No participation trophies here.
That's how it is with us, and it lasts about 10 minutes, and it's on to the next night.
That's just kind of how it goes, though, I
Yeah.
guess. 2024. What you're getting in this J2 car? Do you have big plans? Are you just going to kind of stick around?
I mean, we're probably gonna do our normal stuff, run what we want to. John Gilbert's gonna let us run his cars again this year, so whenever he wants to, we'll hop into his equipment if we can, bring our B mod, see what all we can do.
Right. So Muhlenberg, Andy runs their A mod.
Yep.
And late model.
Yep.
Is that it? Or does he have another one?
He's got a Midwest mod. I've only driven it once or twice, so. But the A mod and the late mod are by far my two favorite.
Is that quite a change out of the B mod into the full bar stuff?
Just the speed of it, especially the late model. I always told John whenever he said, he's like, hey, I won't put you in late model. I was like, you might have to pull me out of the car because I'm going to have a hell of a lot of fun. And that's about how it was. I mean, probably look to range whenever the helmet's on and I'm driving it because I'm probably smiling ear to ear driving it because you're not waiting on the car at all. It's, hey, if you can do it, it'll hold it there. It's whatever you can manage to do, it'll hold up with. So every time I've driven it, I've enjoyed it. I've had some bad luck with it, but I always tell John, I said, as soon as we get this thing to checkered flags, we'll start winning some races. But yeah, the A-Mod's about the same deal. There's just a lot more power, and those A-Mod guys are cutthroat when it comes to racing with each other.
Yeah, that's pretty, getting around the track pretty good.
Oh yeah.
It's a little bit different a game, it seems like. I always aspire to drive like them guys, though,
Yeah, you can make mistakes, but as long as you got a good car underneath you, you can make some stuff happen.
Right.
They got a lot of power and a whole lot of grip to them whenever you hit that setup right.
Is there some A-Mod or late model races you got picked out this year that?
I think the standing order right now is pretty much whenever John wants to run it.
Whenever he feels like getting it out.
Yeah, he's got his grandson he's racing quarter midgets with, and pretty much I think what he said is when we're not racing quarter midgets, we're going to be racing something else. So we'll see what this year brings in that stage.
So you may have a full summer then.
Probably not. They do quite a bit of trips up into Illinois and stuff, so it'll probably be a pretty even split between quarter midgets and full size stuff for him. But
yeah.
It's entirely up to him on what we do.
Right. Well, with racing the J2, are you you guys gonna be going all over the place, or?
We pretty much do it if we feel like going to a race, we'll go to it. We'll hit bigger ones, especially if it's anywhere close to being here, we'll probably go to it. But as far as the traveling big races, probably if Dad and I have the time off to do it, and if we really want to go do it or not, because there's some tracks we just don't like going to.
Right. Everybody's got those, a couple tracks around that they don't like. It just ends up that way. It's unfortunate. So they got this revival late model tour. Have you seen this?
Not firsthand,
I haven't. I ain't got to see the cars or nothing yet either, but they got this coming through, so maybe we can get to see you in one of them races.
Maybe, we'll see.
And they got the Heartland Modified Tour coming. I'm excited about that. That ought to be pretty cool.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Seeing the schedule for it. That'll be a pretty good little A-Mod mini-series for the area.
Yeah,
I just hope they get the support they need, because I know A-Mod are starting to struggle in this area for numbers. used to be A-Mods were the premier class. Now you get 12, 10 of them.
Yeah, it just seems like the pay's got to get up so high before we get very many.
I think a lot of the issues is they made it so expensive to run them competitively, and just not everybody wants to spend that kind of money on a car. I mean, we've seen the birth of the Midwest and E-Mods.
Right.
And it's just, B-Mods are starting to get that way on the engine costs. I mean, it's just, each year everything starts costing more and more. And those A-Mod engines anymore, you can about buy a B-Mod without the engine in it.
For what they cost.
Yeah. It's getting up there. I think that's a big thing that probably needs addressed if we do want the A-Mods to keep living any longer is, hey, we need to start worrying about the cost of it. I mean, everybody says it's supposed to be an unlimited checkbook, but at some point it's got to be a viable racing option, not a, hey, you got an open checkbook, here you go.
Right. Somebody said something to me a while back about it. I can't remember who it was. But they said the problem with the A-Mods is everyone thinks an A-Mod is a USMTS car.
Yeah, they're two completely different things. I've raced against both of them. There's definitely a difference between them.
Well, is there any of your sponsors, anybody you want to thank?
I gotta thank everybody that supports me. I mean, you got Greg and Shane McKinney with Eagle Machine, Tony and Chris Jackson with J2 hopping on this year, John Muhlenberg with John Muhlenberg Racing, Adam Belbradick, Penny and Denny Fuller with CPD, Steve Brumback with Brumback Motorsports down the road, Don and Mia Bryant with Elite Bulldogs, Nick and Brandon Hathaway with Hathaway Construction for coming out and helping us on the weekends, Frank Smody with Swift Springs, Mike Bennett with Dynamic Drivelines, Billy Portwood with Portwood Fabrication Solutions. He's been a long-time supporter of us. Jeremy Atnip and the Atnip family with Atnip Enterprises, Midwest Chiropractic, Roy and Kelly Cummings with Cummings Sons Excavation, Aero Race Wheels, Schoenfield Headers, Tony Anglin with TA Motorsports, Brandy Pitts with SPS, Paul Cook with Paul Cook Racing, and I probably need to make sure I'm not forgetting anybody, but
You'll have that.
yeah,
it's a pretty good list. It's
long list of people.
It's not. Well, you know, it's hard to remember all of them sometimes.
Yeah, when it gets lengthy like that. I also got to thank CJ Mead with WRG Graphics. He's made some pretty looking cars for us. And finally, I got to thank everybody that supported me throughout the years. I mean, there's a huge group of people that supported me, and I would be here all days talking about everybody that's done something for me or supported me in some way, shape, or form. But I got to thank everybody that supports me weekly and everybody that supports the racing community weekly.
I love it. Well, I love it when you come around and get to watch race. Like I said, I've told you before, many times you always laugh at me, but you've inspired me. You know, I'll watch you drive well, I mean, that's just it. You've inspired me some. So I like watching you get around the track no matter which car it's in.
I appreciate it, man. It's like I said, we all try to better each other. It's just when the helmet goes on, we're racing against each other.
Right, it's time.
Yep, there's no holds bars.
Right. So it is Super Bowl Sunday.
That it is.
Who you got?
I'm gonna say Chiefs just because I'm a homer, but
Yeah.
we're
in Chief.
My dad's a contrarian, so he's rooting for the 49ers, so it'll be interesting listening to his shot match at the group of guys we're going to go watch it with. So
Oh, come on.
It'll be interesting to hear how that goes, because leave it be, there's going to be something in the fourth quarter that leads it to be controversial, and there'll be a yelling match, and be there in the middle of it just laughing.
Well, I think it's going to be fun. I'm ready for racing, though.
Oh, yeah. I've been itching to get back into the cars, and we got the old girl here about halfway put back together, and hopefully get our J2 in a couple weeks and be ready to roll for the King of America in the bull ring.
Hell yeah. I'll be ready to see you get after it. And when Andy is at Butler, if Andy comes to Butler, if it's okay with Andy, we'll do an update with him. Maybe we'll show you guys his car and just do a little quick check-in on him and see how he's doing.
That's perfectly fine with me.
Man, I appreciate you sitting down with us. Do we got any questions on there, babe?
No, but I do have a couple.
Okay.
The number?
Number 28. Andy's run the number 28, well, ever since he started.
Yep. Picked that number because it was Randy's number, and we just didn't have the Z on it like Randy does. So it's just been 28 since I've been racing. I think the only couple times I haven't ran it on cars when it was somebody else's car. When I ran Jeff Hodges' A-Mod for a bit, and then John's cars obviously aren't 28. It's but they've done blast. So yes, I ran it for all my lifetime at least.
Just fine with jumping in there.
Oh yeah,
Number or not.
If it's somebody else's car, I don't care what number's on the side of it. I've driven Arthur Richardson's car this last year. Drove it twice. And it was a blast. And I feel bad for him because we were about to win a Midwest mod race, and the lap car happened to spin right in front of me with 5 to go and took the whole nose out. So I wasn't able to finish that for him. I really wanted to win that for him and his family because they were really looking forward to it. But
good group of people.
oh yeah, fantastic group of people.
Did you have anything else?
Yes, inspiration for the next generation of race car drivers.
Oh, so that's my bad. I forgot to do his number, and I forgot to ask him. So, if you're talking to a new guy coming up, what's a key? What's a thing he's got to touch? What's he got to do?
Everybody's favorites to go to the maintenance, which is a huge part of it. Don't take me wrong for that, but from what I've noticed, if somebody's not doing maintenance, it's usually because they're not trying to win. Most of the people that are trying to win are pretty heavy on the maintenance side of it, but my key thing, especially with cars that have a lot of movement to them, like modifieds, get comfortable with the car. Because there's been, I can't tell you how many people's cars I've got popped in to test drive to see what was wrong with it, and they're just sitting there, like you either got the steering wheel way too close or it's so far out you can't have any control of it. It's just, and my dad's made this analogy quite often, is it's no different you driving your daily driver. When you get in it, you know where the seat's supposed to be, you know where the steering wheel's supposed to be. If somebody's gotten there and moved something, you can feel it instantly. You might not be able to tell what, but you can tell it's been moved.
You can tell it's out of wire.
So my thing's always been make sure when you're in the car, make sure you're comfortable. Because any of my cars I've ever driven, I can fall asleep in. I'll fall asleep in staging lanes, and my mother made fun of it for me, or made fun of me for it for ever since she's known I've done that. But I always said you got to be comfortable in the car before you're going to be comfortable in racing.
Right.
Because it's just, if you're not comfortable, something's always a little off. You can't quite get the best feeling out of it.
Uneasy.
Yeah, and there's been countless times where I've hopped in the car and it's just like, man, I can't do this. Something's just a little odd. Steering wheel's either offset to the left or the right. Seat's not fully bolted down, because there's been several cars I've hopped in. Seat would move and I would go into a corner. It's like, how can you even tell what the car's doing? It's just
because the seat's moving, right?
Yeah. My thing's always been focus, make sure you're comfortable, and everything else after that, you'll take care of yourself, either maintenance, because everybody that wants to win has one hell of a maintenance program.
Right.
Especially if you go look at any of the B-Mod drivers that are up there, they are not unloading their car and working on it. It's unloading the car, okay, we're ready to roll whenever we start. It's not, okay, we're going to be scrambling last minute.
Unload the car, put some new tires on, cover them up, and we're ready.
Yeah, that would be my two main things. First one being comfortable, because even people that don't have an intensive maintenance program can have one hell of a car every now and then. But if you're not comfortable, you're not going to be consistent, and that's been our motto ever since day one. Be consistent, work on speed.
I like that, and and I think that's a good thing to work on, and I think it is important. Spend a little time out in your seat.
Yeah,
and get it right.
It's funny you say that. My dad can't even stand the amount of seat with me anymore, because I'll go in and just tweak it around a little bit here and there, and he just wants to throw it in and be done with it. But no, I'll take my time, make sure it's how I want it, and then put it in. It might take me a day or two to get it done, but when it's in there, I know I'll be comfortable.
Right.
I think that's just critical, especially for new people, because you don't know what you're feeling until you've felt it. And if you don't feel it consistently, well, how are you supposed to know what you're feeling?
Right. And I promise, as a pretty young driver, and Andy can probably attest to this, that when you get in that car and you start figuring out how fast we're going around them corners, and you start going that fast, you are going to be very uncomfortable.
Yep. It's
just part of it.
A lot of people like to say that I'm a top-heavy driver, but not necessarily I'm like turning the top. It's just I'm comfortable up there, and I can feel it just as well as I can feel the bottom. A lot of people like to shy away from the top because they can't quite feel where the car is. So
Right.
I don't have that problem because I feel everything and I'm comfortable with what everything feels like. And I've done it enough where, okay, I know what I should expect to feel and stuff like that. And a lot of people, I think, just don't get comfortable in the seat enough to where they can do it consistently.
Right. Well, I would argue with them because I think I've watched you race quite a bit, and I think I see you go where the track's where you think the track is good.
Yeah, that's how I've always liked to drive. Is if there's moisture on top, we're going to the top. If there's moisture on the bottom, we're going to the bottom. If somebody's in my way, I'm going to try the other way. But
Right.
that's just how racing is. You can't only be a one-trick pony. You ain't gonna win.
Right. You better figure it out because tonight's going to be here, and then it's going to be there. It's one or the other, and I think that's a huge part of winning too. You know, that can be a key to someone's win is knowing, hey, I knew with 3 to go to move to the bottom.
There's been several races at Lakeside Lucas. When they get to where there's very thin strips of moisture on the top and bottom, it comes down to whatever line catches last. There's been several races at Lucas and Lakeside where last 2 to 3 laps, if you just make that lane change, you win the race.
Just for changing lanes.
Yeah. There's a lot of races decided just by being in the right lane at the right time.
Right. IQ. Race IQ. Go look at the track. Know the track.
Updates where we can find a Facebook page, anything like
Oh,
that.
do you have a Facebook page?
Yes, there's an Andy Bryant Racing Facebook page. It is on Facebook. It has weekly or hourly updates. Usually have an update on lineups if we are racing and where we're going to be going that night.
Awesome. So you can keep up with him at Andy Bryant Racing on Facebook. Andy, I appreciate it. I look forward to seeing you at the track. Go Chiefs. I just wanted to make sure and say that for Mike. He just walked in. So,
Thanks for taking you guys' time.
man, we appreciate it. We love getting to do this. We love getting to learn about everybody. And I want to say thanks again to H3 Graphics, Lisa Burlington Photography. And if you are a driver, been in this area a while, you want to do an interview, get a hold of the page. Get a hold of Shanna, or if you want to sponsor an interview that we're doing, get with us. You guys go like and follow the page. After 30 days on Facebook, the videos go away. So in 30 days or so, when this goes away, she'll get it posted on YouTube, and it's Razor Edge Productions on YouTube. So go like and subscribe to that. Thank you guys. We'll see you next week.
One thing I'd like to add is if you guys ever want anybody to do photography for you, there's no better person than Lisa. She takes one hell of a picture. She's done several specialized stuff for us, and she does fantastic work.
Yeah, go check her out. She does great racing photography. If you've seen Andy's promo video that Shannon built, there's a bunch of her pictures in that video.
She does outside racing too. She does an amazing job.
If it's a picture, she'll do it.
If
Yes.
it's a picture, she'll take it. Lisa Burlington Photography on Facebook. Have a good day, kids.